All right, I'm live. What's up? How's it going? It is January 24th, 2020. This is The Rational Live. I am going to go through a lot today, like usual. There's a lot of stories. Before I get to anything, I saw a super chat pop up, so let me just get that quickly. Zachary Fluke says, haven't seen you yet today, David, but you're looking fly in that outfit. Prediction. Well, thank you. The outfit today is just a simple... I was gonna say white shirt, so clearly a black shirt. I don't know why I was gonna say white, but simple black shirt today. Because it's Friday. I can't be wearing a nice collared shirt every week. That's just too much. All right, so what am I gonna go over today? So a lot here. I don't even know. I'm not gonna touch everything, but Warren's response to being asked about Hillary's comments about Sanders. Cable news not being able to ignore Bernie's rise. Biden's campaign encouraging staffers to drive in unsafe conditions. The headline of that story alone is just makes the whole thing. Dumb Twitter's fake outrage about Rogan's endorsement. We're going to go deep into that one. And it's going to be a positive story because I'm going to show you a lot of great reactions that people aren't focusing on enough. Because there are, yes, of course, some dumb responses. But there's also a lot of, good takes on this. Trump admits that he's open to cutting Social Security and Medicare. This will be incredibly important in a general election, unless, of course, he's going up against Biden, who also has a record of cutting Social Security and Medicare. But I'll get more into that. Kamala Harris considering a Biden endorsement. Of course. Obama's campaign manager on MSNBC attacking Bernie Sanders. What else? South Carolina official rescinds Biden endorsement in favor of Sanders. New Sanders campaign ads. Buttigieg has his please clap moment. Looking forward to that one. And the polls of the week. There are too many. I collected too many links this week. There may be some repeats. I don't know. I haven't gone over them since I collected them. But Poland's looking good, which is why I'm in a great mood today. I mean, we're a week out, about a week and a few days from Iowa. I'm feeling pretty good right now, but can't get your hopes up. Nothing has been done yet. Get on the ground, do the work. That's what matters. I'm feeling good except for this Band-Aid on my finger. I have cut my finger multiple times right on like where the where the fingerprint is. Means I have a hard time. I had to switch the mouse button on my mouse. I'm using my middle finger instead of my index finger. I can't play video games. It's a real problem. And it's weird because I have no idea how I cut it. It's cut multiple times, and it's really odd. I'm almost afraid to take a Band-Aid off now just in case I cut it by accident again without realizing it. But that's what I've been going through. Before I get to these stories, let me share this. This is an important story, not just because this how NFL running back Justin Jackson became an unexpected star of the left. He's a great follow. Check him out. Los Angeles Chargers player. But also because the Rational National got a mention. Can you believe it? I couldn't believe it. I was reading this article and I was not expecting to get mentioned here. I was just reading it because I enjoy Justin. He's definitely an engaged leftist on Twitter. But here I am. What's up with that? What? You kidding me? That's so cool. So basically saying that he checked out Kyle Klinsky's show, my show, The Young Turks, and that's kind of what helped Jackson to get more into politics. So awesome to see that. I also want to give a shout out here to the Benjamin Dixon show. He does a great show. He's doing morning live streams now. I checked one of them out. It's great stuff. He takes calls.
And really good to say on this.
Check it out. I love hearing Ben's perspective on issues. So if you don't subscribe to the Benjamin Dixon show, check him out. Just search it on YouTube. You'll find it. All right. Let's get to the first story. As I prep it. So this is I'm not sure if this is really a full story for me, but I start every stream off with something fun, usually. So that's kind of what this falls under. But all right. I just want to share this. So I want to show you the difference between Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, and it only takes 16 seconds. So this was shared by Cancel Sam. I've shared his tweets before. Samuel D. Finkelstein. He put this together. I think he did. Actually, no, maybe he didn't, but he shared it. But check out this. This pretty much sums up Trump versus Bernie.
Let's say you become the president. When you leave office, in one word, what would you like your legacy to be?
Victory.
In one word, what would you want to be known for?
Compassion.
Let's say you...
There you go. Trump focused on victory, just win for himself. Bernie Sanders, compassion. That's what separates these two campaigns. And while I'm comparing the two here, I just want to share this tweet Trump put out yesterday. A poll of radical left, do-nothing Democrats just came out in Florida. Nice results. So in this Florida poll, Trump is beating all of the Democrats, except what's going on here? I see Biden. I see Warren. I see Buttigieg. I see Bloomberg. I don't see Bernie Sanders. Maybe it's because Bernie Sanders, for whatever reason, was not included in this head-to-head matchup poll, but the one that he was included in, he destroys Donald Trump in Florida. 53% to 47%. So I just thought it was amazing to see Donald Trump be like, look, I'm beating everybody in Florida, but of course you're going to ignore the poll where you're getting stomped by Bernie Sanders. So there you go. Those are the two campaigns in a nutshell. Now, let's get to some serious stuff, maybe. Elizabeth Warren. All right. Also, yes, of course, I forgot to do everything today. I forgot to advertise my Patreon page, therationalnational.com/join. Support the show. YouTube has been demonetizing weird things recently. I had 4 or 5 videos demonetized this week. I have no idea why. Like, it doesn't make any sense because 99% of the time they are remonetized after review, but reviewing videos now has been taking 24 to like 72 hours. So by the time that happens, all the views for that video has already been, have already happened. So supporting the show through Patreon is a lot of help, as well as super chats, YouTube memberships, PayPal. All the links are below the video in the description box. And on that note, I think I heard, because I get a audio notification when a super chat comes up. So yes, there's one here. Actually, I want to make sure I got I get them in order here. So 1 second. All right. Steven says, why it gotta be white? LMAO. I don't know what that's referring to. Boogie O. Winston says, looking forward to Bernie winning Iowa and New Hampshire. That's the hope. Mr. Marmello from New Zealand sends a super chat. Thank you. Joanne E. Bruno says, great work, kid. Bernie 2020. And a very generous super chat. Thank you, Joanne. All right, let me get to this next story. So Elizabeth Warren was on CBS this morning, and she was asked about Hillary Clinton's recent comments, or I should say her recent unhinged attacks on Bernie Sanders, saying that nobody likes him. And watch how Elizabeth Warren responds.
Hillary Clinton said that no one likes Bernie Sanders and no one in the Senate wanted to work with him. Is she right?
I'm not going there. Look, we are trying right now to manage an impeachment trial and at the same time to talk about why we're running for president. And for me, the two actually come together. I'm running for president because I see an America that keeps working better and better for those at the top and worse for everyone else.
So, Senator,
that's corruption. It's about the influence of money. And that's a big part of what's at the heart of this impeachment trial.
So, Senator, I want to get you on a campaign.
So Elizabeth Warren just deflects. If the roles were reversed, you know Bernie Sanders would be out here defending Elizabeth Warren. If Hillary Clinton said no one likes Elizabeth Warren, you know Bernie Sanders would say that's absurd. I like Elizabeth Warren. Or maybe he wouldn't even say that's absurd, but he would say, well, all I can tell you is that I like her. She's worked with all of us in the Senate, or whatever he would say. Like, he would defend her. But here, Elizabeth Warren, not even willing to say that she likes Bernie Sanders, even though they've worked together over, the past 8 years or so. So this is just, it's sad. This is somebody who, for a long time, I saw as an ally in this progressive fight, in this movement, in this Sanders movement. And now I don't know where to place her. I mean, at times it looks like she's trying to potentially open herself up to a VP spot for Joe Biden because she wouldn't go after him on Social Security. Then eventually I think she did actually finally make a comment about Biden's poor record on Social Security. But ultimately, she hasn't really gone after Joe Biden, and she's gone after Bernie Sanders. So just looking at her actions, it makes you question, and responses like this, you have to question where her allegiance is. Does she actually care to fight for people? Does she actually care to fight for progressive policy, or is she trying to be this politician where she's essentially focused on advancing her career over actually helping people? So I was just disappointed by this response here, and I wanted to share it. All right. I hear more super chats coming in. Let me get some of these. Gabby Alvarez says, was the $400 from the other day real? As far as I know, it was. So I did a live stream. It wasn't a typical Friday live stream. I forget why I did a live stream now. This is how bad it's been. I work so much. But I did some live stream that was random. And somebody sent me $420.69. A very, I guess, accurate, for lack of a better term, donation. And I guess it's real, but it was crazy. I could not believe I got a donation that big. So I don't know. I think I have to wait and see for another month when YouTube pays out. But as far as I know, that was a real super chat, and I'm still kind of stunned by it. Nick sends a super chat in saying, do you think Bernie should be more aggressive? I think it depends on the context. I think his response to Hillary Clinton actually was perfect. Him saying that when he was questioned about Hillary Clinton saying nobody likes him, he said, "Well, on a good day, my wife likes me." Like, that really shows you somebody with strength. Like, to me, that's a strong response, because he's just completely pushing aside Hillary Clinton, and it's showing him that it's showing everyone that this comment's just rolling off his back. Like, he doesn't really care. He's making a joke out of it. So in that scenario, I think that was good, because if he came back and attacked Hillary Clinton, then the media would have made this huge thing about it. It would have been the entire focus. The media would be saying, and not even just the media, but people that could be like on the line, potentially supporting Sanders, would be saying, well, Sanders is being divisive, going after Hillary Clinton here, even though I know, given all the context, Hillary attacking first, it wouldn't make any sense. But still, people don't want to see their leaders in these fights with other political leaders. So Bernie having that comment roll off his back, I think makes him look stronger, makes him look like more of a leader. So it really depends on the context. But when it comes to, say, going after Donald Trump, 100% be aggressive. Be totally aggressive against Donald Trump, because he's just an evil actor on all fronts. Whereas Hillary Clinton, yes, an evil actor, but she's not in power, right? Donald Trump is the one right now that has power. So I think it all depends on the context when you're being aggressive. One more here. Vib Hassam says, rank progressives in the race. No duplicate rank. Rank progressives in the race. Okay, number 1, Bernie Sanders. Number 2, Bernie Sanders. Number 3, Bernie Sanders. Number 4, Bernie Sanders. Number 5, Bernie Sanders. And that's it. Why am I going to rank? There is no ranking. The ranking is Bernie, 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 Bernie. The focus is Bernie. Get Bernie the nomination. All right, let's get... Why did I close that window? That was stupid. I'm going to have to go back there. Just a minute. All right, actually, since this is on topic, one more super chat. Rolf Ganger says, hasn't Warren said, quote, "I like Bernie, he's my friend," like a million times in the past? Yeah. And now when it matters, she's not. Ever since the attack, ever since she launched this attack on him right before the last debate, she hasn't been doing this. So I don't know where she is right now on this whole race, on these issues. All right. What is next? Okay. This is kind of a laid-back segment for me, as you're going to see. It is weird having to use my middle finger for the mouse. I'm still not used to it. All right. So since Bernie Sanders is doing very well in polling, even cable news can't ignore it. So I'm going to show you 3 different clips here, one from MSNBC, 2 from CNN, that show you them actually acknowledging Bernie's popularity. Clips like this are rare, but they do happen.
Different focus groups that we have done with so many different segments of the electorate. And even if it's a Republican, sometimes you'll hear, well, you know, I still really like Bernie Sanders. They can be a hardcore Trump supporter. I like Bernie Sanders. He's honest. I might disagree with his policy, but they see Bernie Sanders as honest. And we're seeing that wide appeal. Right now, he's peaking at the right moment, and I agree with you. I think given that in 2016 he came so close to winning in Iowa, if his organization really turns out, he's in a great position.
Well, half the voters voted for him roughly last time. It was a squeaker, Donna. And if even half the half are still with him, and I think a lot more than that will still. Once you vote for somebody, you're probably going to do it again. And the other thing is 2/3 of the voters of Iowa are either identify themselves as liberal or very liberal. The moderate and conservative piece is only 1/3. So if Biden sweeps it, he only gets 33. Bernie can get 33 by getting 2/3 of the third. So I should ask you the question. Bernie right now. It seems to be hotter and hotter.
Well, it does, and I do think that, part of it, as Elise says, is really about his consistency. I think one thing that voters really appreciate is that you are who you are. And I think people are beginning to see that with Bernie. But the other thing that's still a concern for voters is, can you really beat Donald Trump? And I think at the end of the day, when they go into that booth and nobody's looking, it's not going to be a polling question. That's going to be the last question they ask themselves before they cast their ballot.
I wonder with this whole impeachment question, I want to get back to the other panel members, has changed the question away a bit from who can beat Trump to what do we think of Trump right now? How mad are we at Trump right now? And maybe something's going on here because Bernie is rising. We all know this. He's rising. He is rising.
So a few comments here. It's funny to see these people so just now realizing it. Like, how long have I been talking about Bernie's ability to be the nominee in 2020? Since he lost in 2016, I've been talking about this. All you have to do is look at the power of his movement. The fact that he was able to close a 60-point gap to Hillary Clinton in the primary in 2016. I mean, if that primary lasted like 2 months longer, I think he would have won. So it's all about like him having, that was really the beginning, and him being able to build that for 4 years up till now. Like, it's amazing. These people are paid millions of dollars and they didn't see this coming, and they're all just surprised that Bernie has this kind of support, that he's able to speak to people of all different kinds of political ideas, like or political allegiances. Like, Bernie really has this cross appeal, and a lot of it is because he's also able to speak to people that are largely apolitical, people that aren't really into politics all that much, because generally they've seen politicians just lie to their faces over and over and over again. But then they see someone like Bernie Sanders and they can go back to the 80s and he's saying the exact same thing that he's saying now. That is so rare in a politician. That kind of authenticity, that kind of consistency is so incredibly rare. And they touch on that here. But then, of course, they have to go to the electability argument and act like, oh, but is he electable? I mean, I think voters are really worried about electability right now. I mean, what else is there to say? How many times do I have to talk about Bernie's electability? He's able to bring people out that don't normally vote. So the people that came out in 2016 will come out in 2020 regardless to vote against Donald Trump. But Bernie is able to appeal to people that did not come out in 2016. Young voters, progressive independents, typical non-voters, working class people. He's able to speak to this large group of people that don't normally vote, like 40% of the country that doesn't normally vote. He can bring a lot of those people out in a general election. That is his strength. He is the most electable candidate in this race, and it's not even close. Let's get to the next clip, shared by Case Study QB. This is CNN.
And I think your point about the undecideds is key. I mean, I think what we see in a lot of this information is Bernie Sanders is consolidating that liberal base right now in a really important way. And in our national poll this week, we had seen month after month battling it out with Warren. Now he's actually got a pretty significant advantage. And I think a lot of those undecided voters, as they're thinking about, again, their number one priority, they tell us all the time on the trail when we're out there reporting, a Trump defeater. We want to find somebody that can beat Donald Trump. And that has been a Joe Biden advantage. And maybe now it's also becoming a Bernie Sanders advantage for those like-minded Democrats on that side of the party with Bernie.
And Bernie Sanders has a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
So
the ability to raise more.
Right. The ability,
from
this
these
gives
small
him the ability.
individual donors.
Nothing succeeds like success, as they say. And if people think you're the front runner, then they jump on board. And he's got, while he's here in D.C., He has a lot of money.
And he's been promoting that money on television screens in Iowa and New Hampshire.
And he's got a fairly diverse coalition. You remember last go around, he had trouble gaining support from African Americans, support from Latinos as well. This time he's doing much better. Young folks also like him. So this looks like a candidate. I mean, he wasn't able to do it last go around, but he's got much more of a broad coalition than he had before.
I'm just saying, impeachment is Bernie Sanders' best friends because it is sucking the air out of everything. And if you have the momentum and everything gets sucked up, the inertia carries you.
That's
and
right.
So he's in a great place right now just to let things drift in his direction until next Tuesday.
It's a smart observation because it's not where the poll numbers are. It's where they're going.
Even Rick Santorum, gets it right. So this has actually been I guess, unseen benefit of impeachment. Is that because Bernie's ground game is so strong, because he has so much grassroots support and incredible surrogates like AOC, like Michael Moore, like Ilhan Omar, like Rashida Tlaib, like Nina Turner, he's able to be stuck in the Senate during this impeachment trial, and it's not going to impact him because he has all of this incredible on-the-ground support built in. Whereas it's going to hurt Elizabeth Warren because she doesn't have that same kind of support that he does. So this is, and also in addition to that, the media being so focused on the impeachment trial means that they have less time to manufacture attacks on Bernie Sanders. So it's actually been beneficial to him. One more clip, also from CNN and also from Case Study QB. This is, let me just play it and then I'll react.
All right. In terms of the Democratic primary,
yes,
there is more polling, more signs that things are going well for Bernie Sanders.
Things are going very, very well for Bernie Sanders. Look at this. In New Hampshire, the second contest, the first primary. Look at this. Now he's up to 29%, clearly leading the field. That's up 14 points. That is a surge going way, way up there. Bernie Sanders in New Hampshire, remember he won it last time, not out of the question he wins it again. In fact, he is favored there right now.
Something's surging. How about Iowa?
Take a look here. Iowa.
I don't think you could say that on TV.
You just did say it. You just said it. Look at this. In Iowa, take a look here. You know the average of the last CNN poll and the Monmouth poll. What do we see? Bernie Sanders up 5 points. Pete Buttigieg going down into the basement in Iowa, falling through the cracks. So it's another early state. You win Iowa and you win New Hampshire, that's a very tough train to really stop. And we also see it, we spoke about it yesterday, nationally, from late October in Harry's average, up from 16% in late October, up to 21% now. So Iowa, New Hampshire, Iowa, Bernie Sanders up in all of them. And that, my friends, is a sign of a surge. Something is happening in the Democratic primary.
Just to say this again, you can imagine Bernie Sanders winning both Iowa and New Hampshire, and candidates who do that usually go on to win the
nomination. So I gotta say, that guy's enthusiasm was pretty awesome. You don't normally see that when Bernie Sanders is doing well. But everything there was, just spot on. He's looking really well in the polls right now in the early states. If he wins Iowa and wins New Hampshire, that will add to his momentum. So this is also what's important, not even just about him winning those states, but about coverage like this, showing polls like this, is that a lot of people are still undecided voters, people that are largely apolitical, but they want to hitch the ride to the winning candidate. So if they see, hey, Bernie Sanders is doing well, I like Bernie Sanders. He has the highest favorables, so most people like Bernie Sanders. I like Bernie Sanders, so I guess I'm going to support him because he's the winner. Like, that's how people think. In 2016, a lot of Hillary support came from that. People thought, well, she's going to win anyways. I might as well back the winner. And they endorsed her, or they voted for her in the primary. So if you have that now working in Bernie's favor, you are going to bring in a lot of undecided voters. So that's why coverage like this is important, and especially if he wins these states, I mean, obviously even more important. So let's hope he can do as well in the early states as it's looking right now. All right. Let me get some super chats here. I'm hearing a lot of super chats come in. Loving the support. Thank you so much. All right. Project XL sends a super chat in. Thank you, Project. Trondine says, David, what can you tell us about that tax bill pushback on Trump that AOC voted no on? Why did she vote no? No one talked about this. Tax bill pushback on Trump that AOC voted no. I honestly don't know what you're talking about, so I have to look into it. Polyfufu says, what in your opinion is the reason the conservatives regularly attempt to cut Social Security and Medicare? Makes no sense to me. Thanks, Bernie 2020. Well, they want smaller government. I mean, that's what it is. So they're conservative ideals. They're wealthy people generally, so they don't need Social Security. They don't really need Medicare. They're able to cut these things, and it's fine for them. So that's ultimately what this is about. They like small government. They're focused on small government, so they're going to try and keep cutting it, even though they know it's incredibly unpopular to do so. So they're not really going to talk about it too much or ever. But they'll quietly do it if they can. Nerdy Girl 13 says, I think, generous super chat, thank you. Says, I think Trump being elected has done nothing but fuel Bernie's campaign. Anyone else worried about acts of violence pushback from Trump supporters when Bernie is elected? There's always worry of, the reality is the Trump base is actually pretty small, but they're a vocal minority. And he was able to win in 2016 because he was able to trick enough people that were on the margins, that were tired of this two-party system, tired of the standard politician. So they backed Trump, or they stayed home over voting for Hillary Clinton. So, look, acts of violence, regardless of anything, are always a potential, but it's not something worth really dwelling on. But I do agree with you that I think Trump being elected has somewhat helped Bernie's campaign in a way, because it kind of shows people the Hillary way, campaigning on being a moderate, being somewhat centrist. Really, she's right wing, but doing that's not going to win. It's not going to work. You need to be progressive. You need to actually speak to people's issues to be able to win elections. That said, like, I just want to make clear, I don't think it was worth it. Like, a lot of people were negatively impacted by Trump being president. A lot of people, especially marginalized communities. So it's not at all worth it that Trump won. To maybe, boost Bernie's argument a little bit, it's completely not worth it. I always say, Chuck Zlatkin says, will the leadership, generous super chat, says, will the leadership of the Democrats rather have a second Trump term than have to deal with a Bernie Sanders presidency? I think some would prefer that. It depends on the politician, depends on who you're talking about. Hillary Clinton, I think there's a potential she may actually prefer Donald Trump over Bernie Sanders, because she is so self-absorbed that if Bernie won, it would show that she was the wrong person to put up in 2016. And her ego is, it's too big for that. So I think she would actually prefer Bernie lose to Trump. But Nancy Pelosi, maybe. Chuck Schumer. I would say Chuck Schumer, no. He's enough of a back and forth kind of dude where I think he just kind of goes where the wind blows. But he needs to feel the pressure. But a lot of people that make a lot of money, like consultants, Democratic consultants, absolutely. They don't want Bernie Sanders to win, because that's how they make their money, is doing what they're doing right now, supporting the standard, corporate-friendly Democratic politicians. Hefty sends a super chat saying, how to vote if Biden, etc. wins. We can't change the party if they win using media to crush people like Bernie. I live in a red state, Alabama, so my vote won't matter. So I don't know. I don't think it's worth having a discussion about Biden winning the nomination, because honestly, I don't think that's going to happen. I prefer to take these things as they come. So I don't think it's worth having a discussion. I don't think it's worth having a hypothetical discussion about that right now. Okanagan Summers says, any thoughts on what changes coming for Canada when Bernie becomes president? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a broad but tough question to answer. Look, ultimately, if something like Medicare for All passes, also, by the way, thank you for the generous super chat. If Medicare for All passes, which guarantees dental care to Americans, we don't have dental care guaranteed to us in Canada. So if all of a sudden Americans now have dental care and we don't in Canada, you can bet even potentially the Conservative Party would be pushing for a universal dental care system in Canada, because what would the argument against it be? Like, once America has something, Canada's going to get it pretty quickly. So there can be that direct benefit. But ultimately, look, Bernie's ability to be a humanitarian leader on the world stage, as opposed to a leader who is, all about being controlled by the military-industrial complex, I mean, that alone is a massive shift in how global politics would operate. So that doesn't really just, affect Canada, but affects the world all around. Project XL says, I think he was smart in apologizing. Watch Tim Black. All right, I haven't seen Tim Black's argument, but you mean Bernie apologizing for Biden? For Biden being called corrupt? See, I don't know if I agree with that. There wasn't even much, so I don't know. For people that don't know that story, Zephyr Teachout, someone that backed a surrogate for Bernie Sanders, a very progressive left-winger in New York, she put an article out in The Guardian calling Joe Biden corrupt, and she gave real examples of why he is corrupt. Joe Biden is 100% corrupt. And I didn't even see the pushback on the Bernie campaign on this. I guess there was pushback. I never saw it. But then Bernie came out the next day and apologized, saying that Joe Biden is not corrupt. He's my friend. Like, it was stupid. I think it was stupid. I think it was pointless, because Joe Biden's obviously corrupt. And then what happens the next day or that day? Joe Biden's campaign puts out a negative attack ad against Bernie Sanders after Bernie apologized. So you can't give these people an inch. Like, if somebody is corrupt, he is corrupt. Joe Biden is corrupt. That is a fact. So Bernie Sanders essentially is lying to us by saying, no, he's not corrupt. So I completely disagree with Bernie Sanders on that and the campaign. And I'm a huge Bernie supporter, obviously. But when it came to that situation, no, Joe Biden is corrupt. You do not apologize for saying that. Gabriel Bell, generous super chat, says, I have experienced same finger cut mystery. Really? Turns out when I was screwing on a brass fitting under my sink, it was secretly so sharp I was cutting my finger without noticing when tightening by hand. I've tightened some things in my house, actually, or in my apartment. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that's how I cut myself. But something I noticed as well, I was chopping onions, and I put my finger on top of the knife, the part that's not sharp, obviously. And I was cutting my finger doing that. So I'm not sure if my index finger on this hand is incredibly soft for whatever reason, just this finger, because I've never had this issue anywhere else. But definitely, I mean, there are so many ways I could have cut my finger. I just feel like, why didn't I feel it when I cut it? Like, why didn't I notice it? That's what really confuses me. But who knows? All right, let me get back to the stories here. I got consumed in super chats. I'll get to those. I'll get to more later. All right, I just want to. This is I guess, sort of a story. It's definitely a story, but I didn't really prep much for this. But I'm going to share this. So the Joe Biden campaign is encouraging staffers to drive in unsafe conditions. This story is both funny and sad. So I want to show you this tweet from Ken Klippenstein that breaks it down. So he tweets out here, the Biden campaign pushed its Iowa staffers to drive in hazardous conditions, telling them, quote, if it feels like unsafe driving conditions, then talk to me separately. But frankly, I don't want to hear any complaints because you know how important this is. This is absurd. So he wrote an article on this in The Nation, but let me just show you the messages here, because this pretty much tells you everything. So K-Glad is messaging staffers here saying, hey guys, all weather policy is dissolved throughout the entire state because we have 5 weeks left until the election. If it feels like unsafe driving conditions, then talk to me separately. But quite frankly, I don't want to hear any complaints because you know how important this is and how much time we have left. By showing an ability to be adaptable, flexible, and willing to what you've been hired to do, then that is the most basic threshold of demonstrating your ability of leading others. Every single day is an audition for post-Iowa. This is gross. This is really, really gross. Risk your life because you may have a job after Iowa. It's honestly disgusting, but it's also funny because this is just like, to see this out of a Democratic campaign that is supposed to care about workers. You know, Joe Biden really cares about working people. And this is the kind of crap that they're telling staffers. Just disgusting. But I guess you could say it's not all surprising to expect this out of Joe Biden, who his entire career is about pretending to be working class when he is not. Okay, here's your quick story. That's like a 1-minute story. Let me get to something else. Okay, let's do the Rogan stuff. Why? Why? I got to cover this because it's being covered so much. Not even being covered so much, but it's being blown up into something it's not. But yeah, you will see everything. Sorry, a lot of tweets I'm going to share in this one, so I'm maybe too many tweets I'm sharing here, but I want to show you the breadth of the reaction to this. Jesus. Yeah, actually, I actually maybe do have to. I collected a lot of tweets, as you're going to see. But there's, I don't know, if you haven't followed this Rogan Bernie stuff, I'll intro the whole thing. But there were a lot of good responses from people who aren't taking any of this BS. Just because, like, I'm so tired of you know, woke neoliberal crap being put on the left, because it's generally not the left. It's people in the center that are taking these absurd positions about how you can't talk to anybody who disagrees with you on issues. Like, yeah. Anyways, I don't want to say all my feelings before I start the segment. Okay. Yeah, I have like 20 tweets here to share, but you know, that's how it goes. So the internet is once again on fire. Joe Rogan said he would likely vote for Bernie Sanders in the Democratic primary in California. Bernie Sanders put that into a video and shared it out online on social media. And this is where the insanity ensued. So there is outrage about the fact that Bernie Sanders shared this support from Joe Rogan. Now, I'm going to show you some of the outrage, but I really want to focus on the blowback to the outrage, showing you how absurd the outrage is. So first, let me show you the outrage. So here's one example here. Carlos Maza, who honestly I agree with on a lot. I've retweeted him before. I've liked his tweets all the time. But he tweets out here, Bernie's campaign cutting a campaign ad with Joe Rogan effing sucks. Rogan is an incredibly influential bigot, and Democrats should be marginalizing him. Now, how do you marginalize somebody with millions and millions and millions and millions of listeners and viewers? It's the same dumb argument that people used against Bernie Sanders when he went on Fox News. Like, oh, you're platforming Fox News. Really? You're platforming Fox News, the most popular cable news station in the country? Like, at some point, you have to engage with these audiences. You can't just ignore them and act like they don't exist. Rogan has a huge audience. He has one of, if not the most popular podcast in the entire country, both on YouTube and on iTunes, on Spotify, on Google Play. Like, everybody listens to him, and it's people that aren't, like, a lot of these people, like, his audience are regular people. Like it's not just one segment of an audience. He has people like me who are very political that watch his show or listen to his show. He has people that are completely apolitical that listen to his show. He has a very diverse base. The idea that you can ignore Joe Rogan's audience is crazy. So let's push that aside. Let me show you another outrage reaction here. This from Sadie Doyle. Joe Rogan also had friendly interviews with Milo Yiannopoulos, and Jordan Peterson yelled, quote, "You're a effing man" on air about a trans woman, vocally argued against allowing trans kids puberty blockers this year, said the F word, and believes the world is stacked against men. So enjoy. Is that part of the endorsement? Did Bernie Sanders come out and say, I agree with Joe Rogan on everything he has ever said? No. Rogan is giving in to the Bernie Sanders platform. So it's one thing, like if Bernie Sanders had to come out and say, you know what, we got to change our platform to get Joe Rogan on and support us, then that would be a problem. But that's not what's happening here. What's happening here is that Joe Rogan, his politics are changing. He is supporting Bernie Sanders. That's how you win people. That's how you win elections. You have to be able to speak to people who are largely apolitical, who largely aren't really into politics, but you can get them with your message of compassion, of supporting policies that will actually lift people up. So Joe Rogan here is the one giving in to Bernie Sanders, not the other way around. So let me show you some better responses to this. As you can see here, I have a lot of tweets to share, but I saw a lot of great tweets, so I want to get to all of them. This one says, oh God, I just saw a cis gay liberal say we should stop supporting Sanders over the Rogan thing. I'm going to remove my skin and go live under a boulder in the mountains. I'm only going to say it once. Dude, Bernie is the only candidate who adequately supports trans people. God, I just don't want it to be effing legal anymore for me to be turned away from a hospital because I'm trans. Like, do you realize the reality we live in? Do you comprehend? So this points to something really important. Bernie Sanders' campaign, under his Medicare for All plan, it guarantees trans health. So if you actually care about the community, if you actually care about offering, material benefit to people's lives, then you would see the importance of passing Medicare for All. And only Bernie Sanders is dedicated to passing Medicare for All. Next comment. Ryan Grimm tweets out, Rogan is part of our politics and has millions of people who listen to him. Nothing you do can change that. You can either have him in the Sanders tent in conversation with people with decent values or cast him out into the arms of Trump. The latter will do far more harm. Exactly. Rob Russo tweets out, personally, I am of the opinion that when your political message begins to appeal to people with reactionary social views without watering down that part of your program in any way, that is, in fact, good. Exactly. This speaks to what I was saying earlier. Sanders didn't have to water down any of his platform to get Rogan's support. Rogan just supports it. His politics are changing, which also means his massive audience will hear that. And you're also seeing that in his guests as well. Like, there was a while there that I definitely stopped watching Joe Rogan's show because he was having on, dumb guest after dumb guest, and I couldn't take it anymore. But now, more recently, he's been having on better guests. So I am seeing, and look, I'm sure he'll have on some idiots again, 100%. But I do see, in a way, his politics changing. I see his worldview changing. I see his awareness of his power changing. I think for a long time, and maybe even still, you could say, Rogan isn't quite aware of the impact of his platform. He generally does a show that, he does the show that he likes without thinking about how that may impact people. So when you bring on, someone like Steven Crowder, who just is completely an idiot, Rogan doesn't see that it's not just him having a conversation with Steven Crowder. It's you are platforming Steven Crowder for a massive audience. Like that is the issue with Joe Rogan's show historically. But I think he's getting better when it comes to picking guests. Next one, Matt Binder. I've long covered the far right and have been extremely critical of Rogan over the years. The problem with Rogan was always that his show was a gateway to the right. And if that gateway is now funneling people the other way, then that's a very good thing. Agreed. Goth Miss Frizzle. Last thing I'm going to say about it today, but the liberals clutching... Excuse me. last thing I'm going to say about it today, but the liberals clutching pearls over this endorsement are the same people that have spent the past 4 years pontificating about the need to court reasonable Republicans. Yep. Terrible rat. I'm trans and realize that Joe Rogan endorsing Bernie is a good thing for the simple fact that he is one of the most influential voices in America. That's not a joke. He is more influential than some A-list celebs. In politics, you got to take what you can get and fight like hell. Michelle Goldberg, Bernie is not my candidate, but it seems obvious to me that he was right to take the Joe Rogan endorsement. One premise of his campaign is that he can win some number of alienated men with reactionary social views to the left, and this is proof of concept. Mike from PA, Joe Rogan has expressed clearly transphobic views in the past. However, the ultimate expression of political power most people exercise in this system is their vote. By voting for and advocating on behalf of Bernie Sanders, Joe Rogan is beginning to undo that harm. We're winning. Nomiki Const. Centrists, we need to appeal to Republicans to win. Also centrist, Bernie is the devil, the devil incarnate for attracting disaffected Republicans and independents. Heidi Matthews, yeah, but Joe Rogan never lied America into a war. Hashtag New York Times endorsement. Heidi Matthews was the first person I saw to make this point. This is a great point. The New York Times has never seen a war they didn't like, and they endorsed Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren. Isn't that a lot worse than Joe Rogan saying, I'm going to likely vote for Bernie Sanders? Like, people need to really understand the differences here between the New York Times and Rogan. New York Times has done a lot more damage than Joe Rogan ever did. Wes in Japan, I can't stand Joe Rogan. I've also spent more time in combat sports gyms over the last decade than most any of you who are reading this, and I can say he is insanely influential amongst people who need to be pulled back from the right-wing politics right now. So there you go. And that is true. So while Rogan's audience is wide, he definitely has a lot of people, that are in combat sports gyms, for example, that listen to Rogan, and these are the kinds of people that you want supporting Bernie Sanders because you were able to change their minds. Like, this is not about, it's not about welcoming dumb views into the movement. It's about welcoming this vote and then helping to change their minds on the dumb views that they have. A couple more here. Aisha Ahmed, Joe Rogan is what most Americans are like. Curious, not super engaged in the nuts and bolts of the political process, politically incorrect, but not maliciously so. If you think Bernie shouldn't have celebrated his endorsement, you are not ready to fight for someone you don't know. And the last tweet here is mine. Because this is sometimes I'm better at forming opinions in writing than I am speaking them out loud. People have this weird assumption that everyone has a fully formed opinion on the things they do. No, people often form dumb opinions off morsels of misinformation. They are not evil people. They are people whose minds you change by engaging with them. So this goes to the point that I was making earlier. To change people's minds, like the Rogan audience, the part of the Rogan audience that has reactionary, social politics, you have to actually engage with them. You're not going to change their minds by marginalizing them. That doesn't work. So there is nothing wrong with this endorsement, and don't let anybody tell you so. All right. Let me take some super chats right now. Michael Cuomo says, not to jinx it, but do one think Bernie Sanders should swear the oath on the Constitution instead of on the Bible like Quincy Adams did, or is it trivial? I don't even have an opinion on this. All this stuff to me is so symbolic. Like, when it comes to symbolism, like this kind of symbolism, I don't really care. I don't care either way. Darwin Hawk says Bernie's superpower radiates from his humility and humanity. from humbly including and respecting any and all people who share similar sufferings, issues, hopes, and dreams, which ultimately transcends politics. Nicely said. And thank you for the big super chat. Henry Volt says, despite Bernie's rise, this is no reason to rest on our laurels. Until he wins the nomination, we got to keep canvassing and phone banking. 100%. So, I mean, when I cover positive news, when it comes to, Bernie doing well in polls, whatever, for me, that is motivational. Like, I don't get motivated by negativity. I know some people do. I don't. So I get motivated by seeing good news. Oh, Bernie's doing well. That means all this work, phone banking, canvassing is paying off. It doesn't mean stop doing that work. It means continue doing it because it's actually working. But it is good to be reminded of that, just so people know. Tim Mammal says, different subject. Do you plan on covering charges brought against journalism Glenn Greenwald? I covered it the day it happened. So check it out a few days ago. Yeah, I already covered it. J-Rock says, hey, David, working in the office, and my cousin Jess and I have you playing from 2 different desks. We love these Friday shows. Shout out, brother. That's awesome. I love that. Thank you, J-Rocks. Paul Cooper says, will Trump debate Bernie or just skip debates? So this was something that came up in 2016 as well about this question of, will Trump debate Hillary Clinton? He ended up debating Hillary Clinton. Look, honestly, Trump loses either way. So he can skip the debate and look like, a wimp, or he can engage in the debate and lose to Bernie. Either way, he's not going to win. So ultimately, it doesn't really matter. But of course, I want to see him in the debate. I want to see those 2 debates just because it'll be entertaining. But I think Trump loses either way. Shelby Hall says, Zephyr is a constitutional scholar. No way her and Bernie weren't on the same page. She knows to pick her words purposefully. It sets Biden up to walk into the trap, and Bernie was ready with ads. Sure, but the apology, Bernie's apology, was unnecessary in that whole thing, because Biden attacked him. So, I mean, it's possible. I mean, likely Biden would have attacked Bernie anyways. So the apology, Bernie's apology, wasn't necessary in that whole thing. But then again, I guess you could. I mean, look, you can make the argument that Bernie came out of this looking on top, even though he wasn't the one that wrote the article. So, like, this is my issue with the apology. It wasn't even him. It was Zephyr Teachout, a surrogate, and she is mentioning facts about Biden and how Biden is definitely corrupt. So the only way that Bernie maybe looks good in this is that Biden attacked Bernie anyways, even after he apologized. And that led to that amazing moment where Biden lost his mind, going, why? On that reporter that was asking him about why he was attacking Bernie Sanders after he apologized. So look, we didn't know, obviously, that video clip was going to come out of it. So you could say that was a benefit to Bernie apologizing. Was it Biden going nuts? But that isn't something you could plan. So I still don't know if I would have apologized. Zachary Vieira, very generous super chat, $50. Damn. Thank you, Zachary. Michael I can't do your name, sorry. Michael something says, David, thank you so much for all the objective, systemic coverage of political issues. You brought me into politics. P.S. Boris Johnson equals sinister minister. All right. I agree with you there. Thank you, Michael. Evan Brown says, if we held everyone to the same standard, we wouldn't have any friends. Joe isn't always right, but if you watch, he's a good dude that does mean well. 100%. Like, that's also what matters here. Like, it's not like Joe Rogan's podcast is the hate trans people podcast. Like, that's not his, like, that isn't his thing. He's made some definitely transphobic comments before, 100%, but that isn't like his thing. That isn't what he does. And I do agree with you that he generally does mean well. That said, he shouldn't platform some people that he platforms. But ultimately, the endorsement is 100% a positive thing. Bernie tweeting it out is a positive thing. I see no issue with it. The Progressive Voice says, hey, bro, could I get a plug? YouTube is starting to railroad my channel. Well, before I give you a plug, Progressive Voice, I distinctly remember you tweeting something about me yesterday that I'm going to share with everybody to show you how dishonest Progressive Voice is. I think Progressive Voice is a DNC plant. but 1 second. I'll give you a shout out. I'll give you a shout out. Here we go. Check out this. This was yesterday. Progressive Voice tweeted out, "Am I the only one who is suspicious of David Dole? Can't even spell the name right. He's obviously a Canadian plant, LMAO. He definitely has ties to the Trudeau family." Just saw a video of him from 2013 saying he can't wait till Hillary is president. He's here to divide the progressives. I don't know if I should give you a shout out, Progressive Voice. Sounds like you're the one making crap up and dividing the progressives. But sure, I'll be a nice guy. Check out Progressive Voice's channel. I guess he's being railroaded now, though 52,000 subs clearly saw some growth here. So check that out. He's doing a lot of good stuff now. A lot of political videos. Check him out. He does good work. Progressive Voice, you know where to find him. The Progressive Voice. All right. Let me stop there. I'll get back to Super Chats after the next story. This feels like it may be a long stream today. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see how quickly these stories go by. We're at 2,000 viewers right now. Awesome. 2,000 concurrent viewers. All right. Well, there's a real delay. I just caught a clip of me live on the YouTube stream, and it's like at least a minute behind. All right. So Donald Trump recently admitted that he is open to cutting Social Security and Medicare. Now, this is in contrast to Bernie Sanders, who has a lifelong record of fighting to expand Social Security and Medicare. So first, let me show you the Donald Trump clip.
I dare. One last question.
Go ahead.
Entitlements ever be on your plate?
At some point they will be. We have tremendous growth. We're going to have tremendous growth. This next year, it'll be toward the end of the year. The growth is going to be incredible. And at the right time, we will take a look at that. You know, that's actually the easiest of all things, if you look, because it's such a big percentage.
If you're willing to do some of the things that you said you wouldn't do in the past, though, in terms of Medicare.
Well, we're going to look. We also have assets that we never had. I mean, we never had growth like this. We never had a consumer that was taken in through different means over $10,000 a family. We never had the kind of things that we.
So, you saw him. Now, there's potential here that Donald Trump didn't understand the question, but I'm going to show you in a minute why it doesn't matter anyways. But clearly here, I mean, if he understood the question, I think it's clear that he's saying, yeah, everything's on the table. We're open to cutting it all. Even though on the campaign trail in 2016 he said, we're not going to cut your Social Security. We're not going to cut your Medicare. Total liar. Clearly, he's open to it if he understood the question. But even if he didn't understand the question, I'll show you why in a minute why it doesn't matter. First, Donald Trump's response here. Clearly, he saw that video blowing up. So he goes online to tweet out, Democrats are going to destroy your Social Security. I have totally left it alone as promised and will save it. Not true. So even though Trump there said it's on the plate for the future, it's already on the plate. It's already been on the plate. Check this out. Bernie Sanders tweeted out in response to Donald Trump, showing you again why Bernie Sanders is the strongest to go up against Trump. He's a fighter. Tweets out this headline here from, I believe this is Vox.com. Trump said he wouldn't cut Medicaid, Social Security, and Medicare. His 2020 budget cuts all three. So he's already done it. And you have the potential here. Bernie Sanders is the one candidate that has a 40-year record of fighting for Social Security, fighting for Medicare, wants to expand it to Medicare for all. I mean, you put that record up against Donald Trump, who has cut it and wants to continue cutting it. That's it. You're going to win over. Bernie has the potential here to win over a lot of voters that maybe were fooled by Trump in 2016. So on the other side of that, you put up Joe Biden. I mean, you saw my video maybe of Joe Biden's record on Social Security. There are 5 different video clips of him talking about freezing, cutting Social Security. He has a 40-year record, Joe Biden does, of cutting Social Security or fighting to cut it, and of balanced budgets. I mean, I went into all that in a recent video. If you haven't seen that, go check my recent videos. You'll see one. I think it shows Biden with like 4 different clips in the thumbnail. So click on that. You'll see his record. It's out there. It would be so easy for the Trump campaign to just play Joe Biden in any one of those clips in a campaign ad and get Democrats to suppress the vote. So, like, the worry here isn't that Democrats are going to vote for Donald Trump. No. The worry here is that Trump will suppress the Democratic base by showcasing how much of a corrupt politician Joe Biden is, just like Hillary Clinton. So Trump was able to suppress the vote against Hillary Clinton. He could do the same against Joe Biden because the two are very similar when it comes to their politics. All right. All right, let me take more super chats, because there's a lot coming in, and if I wait till the end, it might be too much at once. I just saw another Progressive Voice super chat that made me laugh, but we'll get there. Tisha T says Joe Rogan is transphobic when men claiming to be female choose to fight women in organized sports. The trans men dominate when they compete. Yeah, I don't want to get into. I don't know the whole context of that entire discussion, but I've heard bits and pieces of it. I don't know enough to really comment. Eric Hula says, thank you for your consistent efforts. I appreciate you. Thank you, Eric. Andrew Dwyer says Joe had Cornel West on, giving credit for that. 100%. Go check out Cornel West on Rogan's podcast. It was really good. One of his better episodes for sure. Evan Brown says, everyone text for Bernie if you can. It's easy. There you go. Thank you, Evan. The Progressive Voice says, did Nico House ever return your Nintendo Switch? I don't even know how you think up this crap. It's hilarious. Well, I can tell you I have Nintendo Switch in my apartment, and I play it sometimes on Twitch. So I definitely never gave it to Nico House. Not that I would ever be in a situation to do that. Rob R says, Bernie can still lose if Pete drops Elizabeth Warren and Joe gains. If Pete drops... Oh, you're saying if Pete Buttigieg drops and Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden gain. I guess, yeah. Well, I don't know. I think all of the support from like Elizabeth Warren on down. So like Joe Biden's support, the second choice of a lot of his supporters is Bernie Sanders. So if Joe Biden drops out, it helps Bernie. Elizabeth Warren, and I'm going off Morning Consult polling on this. Elizabeth Warren, their second choice is largely Bernie Sanders. So if Elizabeth Warren drops out, it helps Bernie Sanders. Pete Buttigieg, yes, he does. A lot of his support would potentially go to Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden. The thing is, though, Pete's going to stay in for the early states, and that's really the only place that he has any hope. Nationally, Pete Buttigieg is like 6%. So he really doesn't have that much support outside of Iowa and New Hampshire. So I'm really not all that worried about Pete's support going elsewhere, because he's going to be staying in the first 2 states. And that's kind of where all his support is right now. Excuse me. Sky Blue Brad says the Joe Rogan endorsement and the good recent polls means we need to work even more now. Remember to register, you awesome people. Yes. Every week I try to remind people, make sure you are registered in your state as a Democrat. I don't care if you hate Democrats. Register as a Democrat to ensure there are no issues when you go to the caucus or the primary. Do it for this win. That's what you got to do. So if you go to voteforbernie.org, vote the word FOR for bernie.org, it'll take you to a page where you can click on your state, check out the deadlines and all that stuff, and make sure you're registered. Progressive Voice says, what is your audio setup for that mic? So the Shure SM7B goes into a cloud lifter. The cloud lifter goes into my camera, which has an XLR input on it. So that is my setup. Nerline Cadet says, hi, David. Who is your VP pick? And don't say it's Tulsi. It's not Tulsi. My VP pick is Nina Turner. So Nina Turner is my number one. I also like Rashida Tlaib. I also like Barbara Lee. So those are kind of my top three. Noah Suber says, hey, do you think Bernie being too nice could lose him the election? If he doesn't call out Biden's corruption, couldn't Trump use that against him? It's not. If Bernie wins the nomination, Biden's corruption is not going to matter at that point. No. Bernie wouldn't be nice against Trump. Like, that's what matters here. So the only reason Bernie's being a little... The reason why Bernie isn't being as hard on Biden as he could be is that there is still a potential that Biden could win the nomination. And it's a lot harder to, I guess, bring your supporters to support Biden if you're going hard on him this entire primary. But that said, if he was harder on Biden, I think he would have a better shot at winning the nomination, even though I think Bernie still has a really good shot at winning the nomination. So I don't think him being too nice, though, is going to lose him the election. Like, once Bernie wins the nomination, him being, not as hard on Biden right now is really not going to matter. I don't know if I'm getting sick or what, but my throat is not great. All right. Let me stop there and pick it up to the next story. So it's come out now that Kamala Harris is considering endorsing Joe Biden. Now, this is the Kamala Harris that, yes, went after Joe Biden in the first debate, landed a great shot on him, but ultimately, clearly, it was all about political theater. And it appears Harris doesn't actually care about these issues, doesn't actually care about helping people. She cares about her own political career. So first, I want to show you this article from Slate that discusses this. So you see here, Kamala Harris is reportedly mulling a Biden endorsement. So let me go down to some of this. New York Times reports that Senator Kamala Harris, after bowing out of the nomination fight, is now weighing an endorsement of Joe Biden. This news trial balloon comes via multiple Democratic officials familiar with her deliberations, i.e. her staff. Is this a big deal? For Kamala Harris, it certainly is. The former candidate whomped Biden square in the back of the head during the early debates on his not aging all that well record on issues of race, particularly school busing. Harris's critique was an effective one that elevated briefly her candidacy and put Biden on the defensive. So it's clear. It's clear this is 100% about her political career. She's the one that leaked this. Understand, these leaks don't happen randomly. No, she told her staffers to leak the idea that she is thinking about endorsing Joe Biden because she wants to be considered as vice president. So this is her way of endorsing Biden without having to actually officially endorse Joe Biden. So trying to curry favor with Biden while Biden is currently mulling over other VP picks. So that's what's happening with this story. It's all about attaining power. But ultimately, I don't think Kamala Harris is actually going to, officially endorse Joe Biden until Elizabeth Warren and Klobuchar are out of the race or appear to be out of the race, because Kamala doesn't want to seem like she's, pushing out the potential for a female president. So she'll wait till Warren and Klobuchar are out or almost out, and the race really becomes between Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. In that scenario, she 100% would back Joe Biden. A lot of Kamala's early support were from Hillary Clinton donors, Hillary Clinton backers. So you see that institutional support that Kamala Harris has, carrying it over from Hillary Clinton to her campaign. Ultimately, it fizzled out, didn't really do anything. But that is still where her support is as a politician. The other problem here, though, is that California is not going to like a Joe Biden endorsement. So she also, I think it's unlikely she would endorse Joe Biden before California. She might wait and see how Super Tuesday turns out. And if Joe Biden is still in the race after Super Tuesday, then she'll endorse him. That said, though, if California goes to Bernie Sanders and she endorses Biden after California goes to Sanders, that also wouldn't look good on her. So it's actually really this leak of a potential endorsement may potentially be the only time she discusses this, because she doesn't want to do this publicly, but she still wants to be considered as a potential VP pick. And this is her way of doing that without having to actually put her political career on the line. All right. So we still got a few stories left. Let me get back to some of these super chats. Sorry, before I'm just checking something out. Abdul Mohsin Al Hashem says, check my tweet if you laughed at it, share and like it, please. Okay. Thank you for the super chat, but don't use it for promoting yourself. Tisha T says Arizona independents need to register by February 17th as Dem to vote other. Sorry, Arizona independents need to register by February 17th as Democrats to vote. Otherwise, they can't vote in the primary. Register to vote. All right. So if you're in Arizona and you're an independent, you must register by the 17th next month as a Democrat. Make sure you do it. And how about you just do it now? Don't wait. Pizza Pasta Cat says, talk about hot girls for Bernie, please. I don't know about hashtag hot girls for Bernie. So I'm not going to talk about something I don't know anything about, but it sounds great. Hashtag anybody for Bernie. I'm down. Toya Karipa says, are you married? Do you support Joe Rogan endorsement? What a two-parter there. I'm not married. Do I support Joe Rogan endorsement? I talked about this at the beginning of the stream. Not the beginning, but a few, at least 20 minutes in probably. So go rewind. You can watch all my comments on that. Yeah, I have no problem with Joe Rogan endorsing Bernie Sanders. You have to be able to reach out to people that are largely apolitical. That's Rogan's audience, largely apolitical. They have, some reactionary social views for sure, but you're not going to inform people that you marginalize. You have to bring people in, and then in the process of doing that, you educate them. Like it's one thing if Bernie changed his positions to get the Rogan endorsement, but he didn't. Bernie's still Bernie. The platform's still the platform. Rogan came to his positions. I think Rogan's politics are evolving, and that's a good thing. Schwawam man. Do you think Bernie support Saiyan supremacy? I don't know what that means. Saiyan like Super Saiyan? Ultimately, I have no idea what this comment is, but thank you. Lawrence Chu says, a recent podcast from The Intercept criticized Bernie's record on Iraq, especially the Iraq Liberation Act. While Biden's obviously much worse, Bernie's hands aren't clean either. What are your thoughts? My thoughts is that there is a clear difference. So those sorts of criticisms 100% dig into those details when Bernie's president. But you have to look at the context. Who is Bernie up against? Like, it's not even close. So you have to, like, right now we're at the stage of comparing records. Bernie definitely has positions I wish he was better on. I wish he supported BDS. He doesn't. But these are things to focus on when he has power. He doesn't have power right now, and his positions on all these issues are much better than anybody else in the race. So it doesn't make sense to focus on problems like that unless someone else is better. If Biden supported BDS or was better on Iraq, then that's worth bringing up. But he's not. So it's not worth focusing on Bernie's record in that aspect unless his record is worse than anybody else in the race. Beef Foe says, did you watch Bernie on Black and Brown Vice News? I saw a clip of it. Actually, I think I collected a link from that this week, but I didn't. I forgot to bring it in for this stream. Potentially, I may cover it next week if it's not old news. But yeah. Tisha T says, you were mentioned on Jimmy Dore last night and Graham Elwood, political vigilante this week. You are great. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tisha. Akram, I'm so bad at names. This may not even be a name, just a bunch of acronyms. AIC Rom 62 says, why can't we do this with Bernie Live rallies? Bernie Live rally. Do what? Super chats? I have no idea. But thank you for your super chat. Cole C says BernieSanders.com/volunteer. Great point. BernieSanders.com/volunteer. Volunteer for Bernie and help him win. David Lopez says, David, if Hillary Clinton, in brackets, most disliked political figure worse than Trump, wants to take down Bernie, she would endorse him. I see what you're saying. If she actually wants to take down Bernie, then she would endorse him. But let's hope she doesn't, LOL. Yeah, I said this in my coverage of the whole Hillary Clinton dumb comments. I mentioned I don't care. Like, I don't care that she hates him. I don't care if she endorses him, campaigns for him. I don't think it would help Bernie for Hillary Clinton to be in the race unless she was going to, like, I don't know, the white suburbs that she won when she ran for president. Like, maybe that would help to try and get some of the wealthy liberals over to Bernie. Potentially would help. But ultimately, you don't need those people anyways. You reach out to people who normally don't vote, reach out to a lot of working class people, and you can overcome, the need to get the Hillary Clinton support. But how many people really have that mindset that Hillary has, where it's like even Hillary supporters, a lot of the people that voted, I would say the vast majority, if not every single person that voted for Hillary in 2016 is going to come out and vote for the Democratic nominee regardless in 2020 because they don't like Donald Trump. So I'm not even worried about, the Hillary Clinton vote because I think they're going to come out because they don't like Trump. And that, to me, that's a good enough reason to vote for Sanders or the Democratic nominee. All right. Back to the stories. Oh, Jim Messina. That's what's next. Oh, no. This article I was going to use is now paywalling me. So I'm going to see if I can get to it a different way. Nope, still paywalled. Okay. Bear with me as I try to find another source for this story that I want to use. Can't believe it got paywalled. Pisses me off. Oh, now it pops up. Weird. Okay. I'm good. All right. Obama's 2012 campaign manager, Jim Messina, attacked Bernie Sanders on MSNBC, calling him the worst candidate. Now, before I completely take apart his argument, let me show you this clip.
And don't underestimate the fact that Bernie, a lot of what he says, the message is basically, you can live your life for free. We'll have free college tuition. We'll have free this. We'll forgive you student debts. It's a powerful message.
It is, but in the general election, it's a message that I think is going to get him killed.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's the worst candidate in a general election for exactly that reason.
You think Bernie's the worst candidate?
Oh, I don't think there's a question about it. I think it's very clear to me that with these swing voters that I care about, the Trump-Obama voters in the Midwestern states, Bernie Sanders is not the candidate we need to beat Donald Trump in November.
So,
all right, let's first attack his last argument there, which is just a complete lie. That Bernie Sanders does not appeal to those, those Trump to Obama voters, the people that, or those Obama to Trump voters, the people that voted for Obama twice, then voted for Donald Trump in 2016. Bernie Sanders doesn't possibly appeal to those people, except that he does. Bernie outraises Biden in Obama to Trump swing counties, and it's not even close. So let me go down to some of the details here. Actually, I haven't read this article in a month or so, so let me find it exactly where the details are here. So according to an analysis of Federal Election Commission data on the Democratic online giving portal, ActBlue, 12,040 donations from those Obama to Trump counties made 19,885 donations to Biden during the first 6 months of 2019. By contrast, Elizabeth Warren had 13,674 donors make 26,298 donations from those counties, and South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg had 14,294 donors make 23,320 donations. Let's go to Bernie support there. So we're looking at Biden, 12,000 donors, 19,000 donations. Bernie Sanders, 33,000. 33,000 donors compared to 12,000 donors, making up 81,000 donations compared to Biden's 19,000. And of course, he also trumps Warren, 13,26, Buttigieg, 14,23, Bernie, 33,000, 81,000. So Bernie has this appeal to these disaffected Obama to Trump voters because Bernie actually speaks to issues that people care about. The people that voted for Obama in 2008, most people that voted for Obama in 2008 voted for him because of his message. He ran a very progressive campaign. Politics were going to be different under Barack Obama. And then it turned out he wasn't. I mean, yes, he was clearly better than a lot of other potential candidates, better than Hillary Clinton would have been, I think, in 2008. But because he had a lot of, big donors, ran his campaign, Obama did, with, Wall Street, it ended up that Wall Street picked most of his cabinet, and that became the administration. So it just became politics as usual under Barack Obama. And voters recognized that. A lot of those voters went to Trump in 2016 because they thought, even if they hated him, and Michael Moore talks about this because he knows these people, even if they hated Trump, and many of them did, they thought, well, he's an outsider. Maybe he can change things. Maybe it'll be different somehow. Maybe it'll be better because it can't be worse. It can be worse. It is worse under Trump, for sure. So those people were fooled. But a lot of those people now can see Bernie Sanders, someone who has a 40-year record of authenticity, of consistency, of fighting for the same thing. That's why they support Bernie. Now, to go to his other arguments, I mean, he just completely ignores that Bernie has the ability to attract, lots of young people, lots of typical non-voters, progressive independents. Bernie has the ability to get people out to vote in a general election that Hillary Clinton could not get in 2016. As I say over and over again, Hillary Clinton, the people that voted for her in 2016 are still going to come out in 2020 and vote against Donald Trump. But the people that you need to win over now to defeat Trump in 2020 are the people that did not come out and vote. Young people, progressive independents, typical working class non-voters. That is the Bernie base. And on top of that, he also has those Obama to Trump voters supporting him. Also, Jim Messina, I think it's worth pointing out, this was the guy who had an anti-gay ad, 2002. Obama's chief, Jim Messina, was behind a gay-baiting political ad in 2002. Quote, "I'll never forget when he showed me that ad," says Senator Max Baucus. And on top of that, Jim Messina doesn't know political strategy for crap. So this is a Financial Times article from 2017. In the past year, Mr. Messina has been a paid consultant to 3 disastrous electoral forays. David Cameron's campaign for the UK to remain in the EU. So Jim Messina was part of the whole Brexit thing. He thought it would be a good idea for Cameron to push for this. And they got destroyed. They got completely sideswiped. I mean, the result was not at all what they expected. This is Jim Messina in the making. This is his strategy, his brilliant strategy. Matteo Renzi's Italian constitutional reform effort, and Theresa May's conservative general election campaign in 2017, where she lost a ton of seats to Corbyn. So his company, the Messina Group, was paid £276,000 by the Remain campaign and reported €400,000 for its Italian work. It is not clear how much Mr. Messina was paid for his most recent work for the Tories. So on top of being wrong about this election, Jim Messina has been paid tons of money for being wrong in other countries. So, and the fact that he worked with Theresa May, the conservative leader in the UK. Like, this man is a conservative. Of course he doesn't like Bernie Sanders. Of course he's going to pretend that Bernie can't win. And he may even think that because this guy's an idiot. This guy is the loser behind 3 disastrous electoral forays, as Financial Times points out. So this is basically, don't listen to this man. I think that's obvious. These are the kind of arguments that you're going to continue to see on the mainstream media, on MSNBC, on CNN. Even though at times, as I showed earlier, they're going to have moments of clarity where they're showing Bernie's ability to really have this massive base and be able to win. They're going to also have moments like this where they're going to act like Bernie's not electable, even though all the data shows otherwise. All right. I'm getting too excited here. Got to settle down. Settle down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to prep the next story before I take some more Super Chats. All right. Liam Hayes says, just wondering, why do progressive YouTube channels still give Tulsi a pass even after Medicare Choice and Present? What's her take on this? Because Tulsi Gabbard is very good at politics in some ways. In some ways she's not. But yeah, like, look, there are people that think Tulsi would be a good VP. I hear them in some sense of that, but you can't make Tulsi VP after she voted present on impeachment. You just can't. I mean, there would be so many questions. It's just not worth. It's not worth the fight. It's not worth the. You would be creating scandals for your campaign when you don't need it. There are incredible VP picks like Nina Turner out there where you don't got to play these games, and you don't have to defend their position on impeachment. So, yeah. But on the other hand, like, she defended Bernie against Hillary's comments. So like that's why a lot of people give her a pass, is because she has great moments like that. She'll say things forcefully that other politicians aren't willing to say. But you can't ignore something like her present vote on impeachment. You just can't. Gabby Alvarez says, who's your favorite Pokemon? I go back to the originals, like Squirtle. I like Squirtle. Charizard, Bulbasaur, Pikachu. I don't have a favorite, but it would be from like the original Pokemon that existed. They have way too many now. I can't keep track, and a lot of them are ridiculous. Hindu Hillbilly says the same Dem establishment that shun a Joe Rogan endorsement had no problem with Harry effing Kissinger endorsing Hillary. #values. Yep. Not even just Hillary went on Howard Stern's show. Now, I have no issue with going on Howard Stern's show. But if you have an issue with Bernie going on Joe Rogan, shouldn't you have a problem with Hillary Clinton going on the show where, you have a radio host asking girls to show him their tits? Like, isn't that more of an issue than Joe Rogan? But these people, of course, the hypocrisy, they don't care. It's not about that. It's about finding new ways to attack Sanders. Al Hashem is back saying, I didn't want to promote myself, just wanted to make you laugh. Okay. I think high school students should sue Tulsi Gabbard for comparing Hillary Clinton to them. I think high school students should sue Tulsi Gabbard for comparing... Wait, what? I didn't even get this tweet or this message. I think high school students should sue Tulsi Gabbard for comparing Hillary. Oh, is that what Tulsi did? Oh, just, yeah. I get what you're saying. But yeah. I think it's not really about high school students. It's a remark that is a, I don't know. I think people say, because absolutely Hillary's comments were high school level comments. Like, nobody likes him. Oh my God. Like, that was Hillary's comments. It was clearly juvenile stuff. Well, let me stop there. All right. Next story. A South Carolina official has rescinded their Joe Biden endorsement to back Bernie Sanders. So let me show you the details here, because this isn't just... Like, this endorsement matters because it shows you the ability for Sanders to reach a very wide spectrum of support. So Meg Kennard, who works for the Associated Press, tweets out here, a black female elected official in South Carolina who describes herself as a conservative Democrat is taking back her endorsement of Joe Biden, opting instead to support Bernie Sanders. She explained her reasoning to me in an interview tonight. So this is why it matters here. This is a conservative Democrat in South Carolina, a self-described conservative Democrat, no longer endorsing Joe Biden, instead supporting Bernie Sanders. Let me show you. So this is the article. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but let me give you maybe just a bit here. A South Carolina elected official who endorsed Joe Biden last month is switching her allegiance to Bernie Sanders in the state's first in the South presidential primary, saying she had viewed the former vice president, whose support in the state is considered deep, as, quote, a compromise choice. Dalhi Myers told the Associated Press on Wednesday that she was making the change in part because she values what she sees as Sanders' strength in being able to go toe-to-toe with President Trump in the general election. Quote, I looked at that and I thought, he's right, said Myers, a black woman first elected to the Richland County Council in 2016. Quote, he's unafraid and he's unapologetic. I like the fact that he's willing to fight for a better America, for the least, the fallen, the left behind. This is a great endorsement. Let me go a little deeper here. So this is her tweet about it. Very excited to be part of a positive Very excited to be part of a positive revolution. Let's win South Carolina. Senator Sanders, our revolution, Nina Turner. Awesome. Very important. Actually, let me like this. I haven't liked this yet. Very important endorsement here. And Bernie tweets about it saying, quote, he's unafraid and unapologetic. I like the fact that he is willing to fight for a better America, for the least, the fallen, the left behind. Thank you, Dalhi Myers. Together we will defeat the most dangerous president in modern history. And also some important context here. Bernie's support in South Carolina, isn't as absent as people think it is, or at least as the media is reporting it is. So Paul Blest tweets out here, something I didn't realize is that Sanders almost has as many endorsements from South Carolina state legislators, 10, as Biden does at 12. So Bernie has some real potential here to do well in South Carolina and even maybe win it, especially if he's able to take Iowa and New Hampshire. I think it'll go a long way to showing Bernie's ability to win the nomination and gain support from. I mean, this endorsement alone shows he's able to gain support from a wide spectrum of individuals. When someone who is a conservative Democrat, a self-described conservative Democrat, backs your campaign, I think it shows the wide appeal that Bernie Sanders would have in a general election. All right. All right, just a couple more stories. And then polls of the week. Many polls of the week. Maybe too many polls of the week. All right, first, super chat it up. Janine Jackson says Julian Assange is out of solitary confinement. Really? So that must be breaking right now. I'll probably do a story on that. Natseg says, what do you think of the recent primary polls? David Pakman's recent video says Biden is gaining, but I've seen a lot that says Bernie is pulling ahead. I don't see Biden gaining. Biden's losing pretty much everywhere. Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends where you're looking at. So nationally, so I'm going to have a whole breakdown of polls in a minute here. But nationally, Bernie has been up in polls. He's been up state by state. So I don't know what you're referring to in terms of Pakman's comments because I didn't see those. But I haven't seen Biden gaining. There's a potential maybe he gained in one or two polls. But generally, you're seeing a lot of support for Bernie surging right now. But I'll get more into polls in a minute. First, let's get to this. What did I just do? Let's get to this story. Okay. So Bernie Sanders has two new campaign ads out that I want to share because they hit on an emotional level. And I think these are the kind of ads that really are the most effective.
We all carry a story in us. The stories we carry within us can go untold for months, years, and even decades under the weight of pain, guilt, and private suffering. But when we step forward to share our stories, we realize we are not alone. We realize our issues are collective issues, and our pain is collective pain. We realize the real failings are not personal failings, but that of a failed economic and political system. We realize we are not the crazy ones. We realize we are right to be angry, and we learn about issues that aren't our own. Our stories can move us to fight for someone we don't know. Our stories can be woven into a much larger story, and our personal struggles can can be woven into collective struggle. A single story has the potential to move millions who see their story in yours.
So I think that's a great campaign ad. Also, shout out there to, I believe Brianna Joy Gray is the one doing the voice. That's Bernie's press secretary. But these are the kind of ads that really show you what the campaign's about. It's about this mass inclusive movement where we're all caring for each other. So even if, say you have great health care, or say you're wealthy enough to afford health care, you are still fighting for people that can't afford healthcare. Or say you have or say you don't have student debt, but you're fighting for people that want to cancel student debt. So it really is a mass movement of people caring for one another. And this other ad also kind of speaks to that as well.
Take a look around you and find someone you don't know. Maybe somebody who doesn't look kind of like you. Are you willing to fight for that person as much as you're willing to fight for yourself? If you and millions of others are prepared to do that, not only will we win this election, but together we will transform this country.
I'm Bernie Sanders, and I approve this message.
Another great ad hitting on the similar themes. And these are the kind of ads that have the potential to grow the movement, because these sorts of ads reach out to people who maybe aren't all that into politics, aren't really following this race, but they can see an ad like this and get a feeling for what the campaign is about, and understanding that this is actually a campaign that, isn't just your standard Democratic fare, but this is actually a campaign that is willing to, or is based in reaching out to everyone and really caring for one another. And both these ads show that. All right. I think I got, I don't know, one more story. So I got a Pete Buttigieg story, and then I got the polls of the week. So let me punch through both of these, and then I'll take all the super chats I can at the end. All right. So this is just a funny moment that I want to share. Pete Buttigieg had his please clap moment on the campaign trail. This is a little embarrassing, but I think it's worth sharing. So check this out.
So can I look to you to spread that sense of hope to those that you know? Come on.
One more time.
Spread that sense of hope to those that you know. Come on.
So obviously, as Jordan Ull points out here, this is his please clap moment. Reminder of the please clap Jeb Bush back in 2016. This never gets old.
I won't be out there blowharding, talking a big game without backing it up. I think the next president needs to be a lot quieter, but send a signal that we're prepared to act in the national security interests of this country to get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
One more time.
Of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
Just so depressing. Brilliantly, Alex Sears here put the two together. So watch this.
better,
but send a
hands
signal
guided by better
that we're
values
prepared to
on
act
those
in the
pulleys and
national
levers of
security
American
interests of
government.
this country to get
So can
back
I look to
in
you
the
to spread
business
that sense of hope
creating a more
to
peaceful
those that you
world.
know?
Please
Come on. Better,
But send a
hands
signal.
The pause is almost exactly the same length. Let's watch this.
Creating a more
to
peaceful
those that you
world.
know.
Please
Come on.
Oh, so I don't want to dunk on Pete too hard now because it looks like his campaign is just about done. Okay, I shouldn't say that. He is still doing fairly well in Iowa and New Hampshire because he has poured a ton of money, a ton of ads, TV ads into those states. So look, anything's possible, right? Anything's possible. But the way things are going right now, the way the trends are looking, Buttigieg is largely going down, and Sanders right now is surging. So the like moments like this, I think, are signals of a failing campaign. Okay, let's get to all the freaking polls you can imagine. Too many polls, I would say. I collected too many polls. May even be repeating some of these polls because there are so many. Sorry, a bit of prep here as I bring these links up. Yeah, some of these are repeats. Okay, I'm not going to use that one. Oh, damn. There's one that's gone. A Georgia poll. Oh, well. All right. Apologies for the wait here. Just there's a lot. And then after I do the polling, we'll be taking super chats. All right. All right. So yeah, I'll take super chats after. But I just saw one pop up that I gotta mention. The Jimmy Dore Show. If it's the real Jimmy Dore Show, I haven't checked the link, but I'm going to assume it is. Sends a super chat, a very generous super chat. Thank you, Jimmy Dore Show. Saying, serious question, is anybody better than Jimmy Dore when it comes to being awesome? Look, Jimmy, a lot of us are awesome in our own ways. You're definitely, I would say, the funniest of all of us. So I hope you like that. All right, let's get to these polls of the week. Yes. All right, so it is time for the weekly wrap up of polling. So I'm going to show you a number of polls here I collected over the week, showing Bernie Sanders and his standing right now in polls. So a lot of these I haven't checked since I collected the links, so we're going to kind of relearn a lot of this together. All right, so this is Morning Consult. They actually have a very pretty deep, in-depth polling here. But let's check out some of these. Candidate favorability. Bernie Sanders with the highest candidate favorability. I got to be honest, I'm surprised Joe Biden's even close, but he's right there. But Sanders leading, and then everybody else, who cares? Sanders supporters are less favorable to most other candidates in the race. Also kind of showing you, I don't know where that shows exactly. Like, if you want to win, if you want to beat Trump, support the candidate that brings out the most voters. That's the Sanders campaign. I also want to show you, if I can find it. So general election. So right now, Biden's still leading here, but it's really friggin' close. Bernie right behind at 45 to Biden's 46 against Trump. Again, this is nationally. I think state by state matters more than national polling. Among Democratic voters, Biden slight lead. But among independent voters, what matters a lot in a general election matchup, Bernie Sanders with a clear lead here over Joe Biden among independent voters. So, again, you're talking about electability. Sanders is the most electable. Let's go to Emerson College polling. So here, we see Biden's down 2, Sanders is up 2. Look at the full thing. Sanders right behind Biden. Again, he's in second place, but he's gaining. So you see where the momentum's going. And I think I already did a story on this, so I'm not going to cover it again. But there was also a CNN poll this week showing Bernie in first nationally against Joe Biden. So polls right now are, it's basically it's coming down to Biden and Sanders, and it's within the margin of error when it comes to national polling. So both of them are in first, depending on what poll you're looking at. I think there's more here to share. Support is the most solid among Sanders voters at 76% will definitely vote for him. Biden supporters are split, with 50% saying they will definitely vote for him, and 50% saying they're open to another candidate. Again, showing you who has the strong support. This is what matters, again, in a general election. You want engaged voters. And head-to-head matchups, Sanders beats Trump 51-49. Trump and Biden are tied 50-50. Trump and Warren tied 50-50. Trump beating Buttigieg 52-49. So this is what matters here. Matchups and state by state matters most. Let's go to the next one. Bernie only down 3 points to Biden in New Jersey is significant when you consider that in 2016 he lost the state by 26 points. We can absolutely win it in 2020. So, wow, that's crazy. So Sanders is only down by 3 to Biden in New Jersey right now, and I haven't double checked this, but I'm going to trust that they are correct, that Sanders lost that state by 26 points. And here, it's neck and neck. There you go. Let's check the next link. This is president of, I assume that's Massachusetts, polling. Or not, New Hampshire. The first part of our New Hampshire Democratic primary poll for WBUR is now posted. Shows big gains for Sanders since December. Oh yeah, this I covered in a separate video. Sanders 29% in New Hampshire to Buttigieg in second place at 17%, a 12-point difference. This is huge. Sanders has gained 14 points since last month in this poll. So again, the surge is real, and it's happening in the states that matter right now. Let's go to the next one. CNN poll breaks down race by white and non-white. So again, this is the CNN poll that Sanders is leading nationally in against Joe Biden. I believe that may have even been the first national poll where Bernie was ahead of Joe Biden. White support here, 24% for Sanders, Biden 22%. Non-white, Sanders 30%, Joe Biden 27%. So Sanders leading across the board. Ben Hawk tweets out here. New Survey USA poll says Bernie Sanders is destroying Trump by +9. He also leads all other candidates with voters under 50 at +18. Latino and Latina voters +32. And black voters by an astounding 81 points. There you go. Again, showing you his general election strength. This is a CNN poll asking which candidate do you think best understands the problems facing people like you? Sanders leads here 29% to Biden's 18% on 11-point difference. Again, huge lead here for Sanders. Cancel Sam tweets out here. Forbes Zogby under 30 poll. Bernie Sanders is killing it with voters 18 to 29. He has double the support of Joe Biden, who's in second place. No other candidate breaks double digits. Pete Buttigieg is the generational change candidate, has 3% from his own generation. That is embarrassing. So check out the numbers here. Here you go. Under 30, Bernie 32%, Biden 16%. It's not even close. Next up, among Hispanic college students. So this is a Chegg College Insights weekly tracking poll. So the first, I guess let's look at the first one here. Sanders is 43% among college students, +2 since last week. Warren's down 1, Yang the same. Biden down 1. Everyone's down or the same. Sanders up to 43%. You see his growth here. And I guess breaking it down further, among Hispanic college students, Sanders is 50% to Warren's 18%. Biden's not even in the race here. Among black college students, Sanders 49, Warren 16. Again, I mean, because this race is coming down to Biden and Bernie right now, and you have to worry about youth turnout, the youth ain't going to come out for Joe Biden. Look how low his support is. Look at this, 6% from Hispanic college students, 12% from black college students. Like, it's not even close. If you want to win, if you're talking about electability, Sanders brings out those people that are not going to come out for any other candidate. Last poll here. This is what I just covered. So here you go. There you go. Sanders leading among college students. So overall, I think it's clear who not only is the most electable candidate in a general election against Donald Trump, but also who is on pace right now to secure this nomination. All right, look at that. 2 hours in, and now it's 100% super chat time. All right, where did I leave off? My favorite Pokemon, I answered that one. You know what? I like Jinx. Jinx was a very interesting Pokemon. That's my pick. There you go. I settled. All right. DVDV sends a super chat saying, speaking of campaign ads that speak to people, hashtag Hot Girls for Bernie is trending worldwide right now. Check it out. Thanks for your efforts, David. Okay, since I have 2 super chats now about this, let me actually look into this and see what the hell's going on. This is really out of left field. Okay, I'm not going to scroll through a bunch of pictures of girls. That would just be weird for me to do that. But yeah, hashtag Hot Girls for Bernie is trending. There you go. Check it out. That's awesome, I guess. I don't know where the hell it came from or what sparked that, but sure, I'm in support of that. Maker of Things says the Jimmy Dore Show needs a less emotional Jimmy complaining about Bernie. Hey, Jimmy's a fan. Leave Jimmy alone. I've talked about this before. We all have our various ways of approaching these issues, right? Like, I do it in a way that is different from other people. We all have different audiences. There's some crossover, some not crossover. There's nothing wrong with us appealing to all different sorts of voters. Dwayne Bramble says, "Hey David, Bernie's YouTube I noticed this. Bernie's YouTube has H. John Benjamin explain Bernie's damn bill. It was awesome, detailed and funny. Please show one." The only issue, I think there's some music on that, so I don't want to risk copyright issues. But if you go to Bernie's YouTube page, check out their. Let me see if I could find it here. They definitely have a great explanation, like the kind of thing you want to share with your friends and family, because of the way they succinctly break it down. Here we go. Yeah, so let me bring it up. So this one here, Bernie's damn bill. That's part one. It's very well done. Again, go to Bernie's YouTube page. This is the kind of thing you share with family and friends who aren't generally into politics, but they can explain this policy very well and only in 3 minutes, which, is always an issue when you're sharing videos with family and friends. Like, I always feel bad if I'm going to show somebody a video and it's like over 2 minutes long or over 3 minutes long, because I don't want to take up too much of the time, right? But a 3-minute video is easy, so show them this 3-minute video. Again, I'm not certain about the copyright issue, so I don't want to play it, but show that, and here you go. Where was I? Lulu H says, "Love you both and Jimmy." Awesome. Thank you for your generous super chat. Jimmy Dorshow super chat says, "Any truth to the rumor that Bernie tried to sell Warren a subprime mortgage after the debate?" What? I don't think so, but I will look into that. Mariposa sends a super chat saying $20, by the way. Very generous. Correct response to warn people woker than thou folks attacking Bernie. And let me read this over again. Correct response to warn people woker than thou folks attacking Bernie and Berners for flaunting Rogan's endorsement would be a Bernie ad showing how Medicare for All covers hormone therapy, trans-related surgeries, Equality Act, etc. Love you, David. Yeah, or just make that argument. I mean, Medicare for All is comprehensive. Maker of Things says, "Jimmy, show me on the doll where Bernie hurt you." Hilarious. Jimmy's back. I'm really enjoying these very generous super chats, Jimmy. Thank you. After growing the beard, would you consider yourself having "quote unquote" rugged good looks? What's funny is I'll just tell you that the dumbest reason why I didn't trim my beard today, because I have this cut on my finger, and I didn't have a Band-Aid on at the time when I was in the washroom. I just took a shower. I didn't trim my beard because I was afraid of one of the hairs getting stuck in my cut. So that's what motivated this beard, is just a total worry that I may get beard hair stuck in my cut in my finger. So I likely will trim it very soon. Gabriel Bell sends a super chat saying, "Sounds like your onion knife was manufactured poorly and has a sharp burr on top." The thing is, it's not that. It's that it was when I was cutting onions, the Band-Aid fell off and the knife was going into my existing cut, and I didn't even realize it, and it was making it worse. It's weird. I didn't feel it. Maybe I'm like losing feeling in my finger. But Gabriel says, "Get a new knife. Maybe problem solved. Suspect anything metal in general. Protect your fingers, son." Yeah, the cut is really in the worst place. It prevents you from playing video games, prevents you from using a mouse properly. Typing is a pain. So definitely an issue. All right, we're reaching the end here. Let me. So if you're gonna do super chats, get them in now, before we're done. Ashley Rose says, "Great seeing all our fave YouTube channels supporting each other. You guys give me life during these distressing times. Thanks, David. You don't even live here, and we can always count on your Bernie support." Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for your generous super chat as well. Jimmy Dorshow is back. What's up, Jimmy? Says, "How much would you sell out? How much would you sell out for if MSNBC offered? I'd take $50K and dinner." Is this the real account? Hold on. Let me just make sure this is the real account. Clicking on the account. It's the real account. Okay. I feel like you would hold out for more than 50K. 50K is not much to sell out. I would take zero because I would not enjoy my life. I mean, I already had a career I didn't enjoy, and I left that job. So for me to go back to doing something I don't like doing would not be enjoyable. So no money in the world would make me leave what I'm doing right now. Tisha T says, "You're the nice, cute version of Jimmy Dore." Balance between is good to have for progressives. Thank you, Tisha. DVDV says, "Hashtag hot girls for Bernie," in response to Bernie bro lie. Oh, okay. I mean, okay. But there was also a hashtag where it's like women for Bernie, I think was the hashtag. It doesn't have to be hot girls for Bernie. But again, I'm not complaining. Dennis Rankin says, "Thanks for all the great content. Sending a hello from Germany. Yes, Germans for Bernie is a thing." I believe it. I mean, I love this international support because it shows you that people worldwide recognize that Bernie here has the potential to not only be a leader for Americans, but a leader on the world stage. We need a humanitarian leader of the American superpower. Like, we need that. So this is why a Bernie Sanders presidency is so important, not just for your country, but internationally. Did somebody hack Jimmy's account? These are a lot of super chats. I'm starting to think that this is way too generous. But you know, Survivor Mary sent super chat. Thank you, Survivor Mary. Jimmy Dore Show back saying, "How annoying is it when lazy YouTubers take videos from your show and use them instead of doing their own research and putting together their own segment?" I don't even see people doing that. I mean, if they do that, I don't watch it. So I generally stick to lazy YouTubers take videos from your show. I don't think I've seen anybody do that. We all cross-use our own like clips that we find online, like MSNBC clips, CNN clips. But for the most part, I don't see anybody stealing content. Edwin Dooning says, "You covered Bernie joining our strike at UCLA after 3 years and walking out 5 times. We won our contract last Wednesday. Thanks, David, for your support of labor. Peace." Awesome. That's so great to hear. So that was UCLA with AFSCME 3299. Awesome. Love to hear that. And again, it shows you the power of a Sanders presidency. If he's able to have this sort of, obviously the workers on the ground are the ones that did the most work, the ones that are actually in the fight, in the labor fight. But having Bernie be able to put a spotlight on these various labor fights around the country as a candidate, and he has this power as a candidate to be able to do this. Imagine him as the president, the kind of power he would have. Especially also, something like the Amazon raising wages. Him doing that as a candidate, putting pressure on Bezos as a candidate to get them to raise wages. Again, imagine his power as president. Jimmy Dore shows back, says, "Would you have dinner with Meghan McCain? What would you say?" That's a great question. Would I have dinner with Meghan McCain? I don't know how I would ever be given the opportunity. I probably wouldn't, because I don't think I would get through to her. I think potentially there's a strong potential she knows that she is manufacturing consent, that she knows she is lying all the time on her show, and she's doing it on purpose. So I have no real interest in engaging with, dishonest actors. That said, if she actually is as dumb as she appears, then maybe I could potentially bring some facts into her life. I don't know, but I feel like I would not enjoy that dinner. There's more coming in. Lloyd Tucker says, "What's the news on the Justin Tim Hortons controversy?" The Trudeau Tim Hortons controversy. Okay, let me give you a short overview. This story is so dumb. So dumb. Justin Trudeau was in, I think it was Winnipeg. I don't even know what province he was in. But he was in some province where he bought gourmet donuts. I think it was for his staff. And this became an issue. Or I should say, some people in the media, mainly, conservatives that try to find any reason to attack Trudeau, attacked him over this because he didn't go to Tim Hortons. So yeah, because he went to a gourmet donut place instead of going to Tim Hortons. Now the reality is, Tim Hortons, the company, is owned by Restaurant Brands International. Restaurant Brands International, they're owned by a majority stake from 3G Capital, a Brazilian company. Tim Hortons is essentially now Brazilian. It is not Canadian anymore. The donut place that Justin Trudeau went to is Canadian. It's a small Canadian business. So there is there's no controversy here. Like, this reminded me a lot of how Fox News went after Obama. Like, when there were legitimate things to go after Obama over, but they were attacking him over holding coffee while saluting or wearing a tan suit, instead of going after him for, drone strikes. Like, there are legitimate reasons to attack Justin Trudeau. Donuts is not one of them. But thank you for bringing up that absurd story. Daniel Housley says, Jimmy said that about people stealing content because he just did it to you in his most recent video. Did he? Okay. All right, I got to check it out. I haven't seen it. Actually, he's used one of my videos before during a live stream, or I should say a live show. I have no issue with that at all. Use all the videos you want of mine, Jimmy. I enjoy the exposure. Tisha T says, Jimmy is cute too. He just rants at his audience. He used your crystal ball clip last night. Oh, cool. All right, I got to check that out. Citizen Zero says, if you met a girl that was smart, interesting, wonderful, and beautiful, but supported Trump, would you date her? No. I would have nothing in common with it. That person wouldn't be smart. They would not be interesting. They would not be wonderful. So if they support Trump, they are neither of those things. So I would not date that person. Jimmy Dorshow says, is it true you support Bernie just so you can get laid on college campuses? Hashtag social lust. Social lust. It is not true. And I do not get laid on college campuses. At least not since I've been in college. So my Bernie support does not do that. Lady Marmalade or Marmalade says, thanks for the hard work. Can you share your thoughts on Tulsi's stand against BDS? That's an old story now. But even, yeah, I went after Tulsi when she didn't support that BDS resolution. Who else didn't support? There was somebody else, I think, in the House. Ro Khanna, right? I think Ro Khanna didn't support it either. Yeah, bad vote. At the same time, I think Bernie has said publicly he also doesn't support BDS. So I'm not with those politicians on that issue. AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, I believe all voted the correct way on that resolution. Lula H says, Jimmy took a clip from your show, the one with Crystal, LOL. All right, I got to check this out. Maybe I'll do it right now. Damn. This video blew up too. All right. No offense to Jimmy, but I'm just going to look for my part. I'm just curious. Like, am I in it, or is it just the crystal ball clips? Oh, maybe he just used the clip that I used. That's fine.
In this thing where they bring on progressives now because of Bernie, because Bernie's leading in all the polls. So now they finally have to bring on someone to comment on it, right? Someone who's considered a progressive. So they had
That's going to be hard to
so
find.
Chris Cuomo brought on Anna Kasparian last week. Remember that? We showed you that. And she laid a smackdown on CNN's shit reporting on Bernie.
By the way, Anna has been on CNN 3 times this past week. She's been fantastic on there. I covered it once. I could have covered all 3, but I didn't want to I don't know. I don't want to seem weird for just covering Anna on CNN clips, but it was fantastic.
Sanders, and it was pretty fun to watch. This also very fun to watch. Here is Crystal Ball. Now you know Crystal Ball, friend of the show,
fan of the show,
and she hosts that new show, The Rising, on the Hill. It's on YouTube, and it's up to 200,000 subscribers already.
Wow.
So I'm trying to make friends with them because they're gonna blow right past me. And
it's not a race.
So
not a competition.
So Bernie Sanders was accused. Hillary Clinton came out and said that nobody likes Bernie Sanders.
I just got to say, Jimmy, if you're still watching, I like that you're back on the Bernie side now. I was not with the Tulsi stuff, but look, we all got to come together for Bernie Sanders in this primary. It is time to get behind the only one that can win this primary race. That's a progressive, and that's Bernie Sanders.
And so now they bring on. This is a former Clinton advisor. That's a former Clinton communications director, Karen Finney. We already did a video about Karen Finney before. She's horrible, horrible. And well, she was part of the Clinton campaign. What else do you need to know? They lost to Donald Trump. And
all right, I can't watch 18 minutes here, but I think he just used the clip that I can see my border here on the thing. So I'm assuming that's what people mean. But awesome, I got no issue with that. Great. I'm glad we're all on the same team now, fighting for Sanders. More super chats coming in. Let's get to them. Andrew Grew said, sellout politicians the world over have set the planet on fire. I'd be surprised if there wasn't a place that doesn't feel the Bernie burn for better. 100%, Andrew. Excuse me. Lloyd Tucker says, I hear Meghan has daddy issues. Not going there. That's a horrible comment. Ashley Rose says, David has a girlfriend, Jimmy. She buys him awesome sweaters. Somebody follows me on Instagram, apparently. Or did I mention that on the live stream? I don't know. Jen Pepper. By the way, Instagram. Want to follow me on Instagram? It's just David Dole right there. David Dole. I try to Instagram more. Do Instagram stories and stuff. Jen Pepper says, happy weekend, y'all. Happy weekend to you, Jen. Thanks for reminding me it's the weekend. I'm looking forward to drinking some beer tonight. Jimmy Dore Show says, do you ever wear makeup for camera? If so, does it ever make you feel pretty? I don't wear makeup for camera, actually. I never have. I'm not sure if I've ever had makeup put on me except for like Halloween. Because I've never really been on television. I've been on the radio. Television. I don't think I've been on television. So no makeup. DVDV says, to be clear, the disclaimer reads, anyone who votes for and believes in Bernie is in fact a hot girl. Okay, good. I am with hashtag hot girls for Bernie. I guess that means I'm also a hot girl because I guess that's what this is about. 24th January equals the official Hot Girls for Bernie Day. Hence it trending now. Kate done advertising for it. Okay. Thank you for that context. I didn't know anything about this, so thank you. Fabian Hutter says, Jimmy being self-deprecating, he did a shout out for you. Awesome. All right. I assume it's somewhere in those 18 minutes. I will finish the video later. DVDV says, and shout out, love that accent, to Tim Black, TBTV. Yeah, also, I got to say, look, I did not follow Tim Black for a while. I don't know. I think a few years ago, maybe I saw a video I didn't like of his or whatever. But I'm liking Tim Black. He's doing some good stuff on YouTube and on Twitter. Definitely shout out to Tim Black. Guys, I'm feeling the love here. I think we're all really coming together at just the right time, right before Iowa, for the Sanders movement. I'm feeling super positive. I'm glad to see everybody in this fight because this is what we need to win. All right. Let me finish the super chats. So again, if you haven't got yours in yet, get them in. There's about a minute delay. So let me say, I want to be out of here by 5:25. So that gives you 2 minutes from my time. Probably gives you about 3 or 4 minutes to react. All right, where was I? Rob R. Why do you care about U.S. domestic politics? Don't get. I think you mean to say don't get it. Honestly, American politics was my entry point into politics. So I grew up completely apolitical. I mean, even as a college student, I was taking video production. I wasn't really, I wasn't into politics. But then I began to watch Jon Stewart, Colbert, The Young Turks, began to grow an interest for it, and then began to see the impact that, America has worldwide on politics. So that, I talked about this earlier, but that is why a Bernie presidency is so vital, not just for America. Like, if you're just living in the U.S., you really don't have the view on the impact that American politics has and American culture has worldwide. So a Bernie Sanders presidency can lead us to a potential humanitarian world. And that is something that I'm looking forward to. And I want to be in the fight to achieve that. Vib Hassam says, what's your beef with Tulsi? No one cares about impeachment, not getting anywhere in the Senate. I don't have a beef with Tulsi. I didn't love her flip-flopping, her weirdness on healthcare. She apparently now supports more of an Australian model, which is fine, but why not just support Medicare for all? I don't get it. The present vote on impeachment matters. It matters. Trump, it matters for principle. Everyone knows, we all know Trump's not going to be removed in the Senate. That isn't the point. The point is you need a certain standard for the presidency. And I know, Obama did a million things. Bush did a million things to get impeached over. But you have the potential now. And by the way, impeachment for Trump doesn't go anywhere. I wouldn't be focusing on Ukraine and this whole call. That is, the focus should be the kids in the cages. There are so many, the violations of the emoluments clause. There are so many other things to focus impeachment on. But the point is that they have something, at least there is something that they're focusing on for impeachment that 100% is impeachable. So even though I don't really care about this call to Ukraine, it 100% is an impeachable offense. And for you to, play patty cakes and sit in the middle on that, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good politics. I think it hurt her, and I think it hurt her ability to potentially be Bernie's VP by doing that, because it's added baggage that the Bernie campaign doesn't need to defend when he picks his VP. So there you go. Robert Penner says Jimmy Dore mentions you at time code 148 in his video. All right, let me go there for the mention. 148.
Throughout this campaign, he's consistently been the most.
Oh, by the way, let me just tell you this before. I was watching this show, Rational National, that David Dole guy. He's the one who got this video. And I was like, great job, David. I'm going to also show this video. So in case you know. So David also does a great show. Everybody should watch the Rational National. But that's where I got this from. Okay, here we go. Watch. This is kind of
awesome. How did I not like this already? There you go. Awesome. Thank you, Jimmy. All right. And thank you, Robert, for pointing out where that was. All right. It's 5:27, so we are past the point of no return. Let's hope you got your super chats in so I can get out of here. Tisha T, you get the last super chat. Watch the Jimmy Dore show with Tulsi. I thought like you did too, but Jimmy's episode swayed me. There is history and facts on why. Are you talking about the BDS aspect of it? I think I heard her argument. I did not buy it. So there you go. I think I heard one more come in, unless that was a super chat. All right. That's it. Perfect. Thank you all for coming. It was a 2.5-hour stream. These go by so quickly. I mean, you could have watched Braveheart in this time, but you decided to watch me instead, so I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming, and I'll be here next week, every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. See ya.